For week 5 of the March cycle on Patrick Lecture 144, The Process and Significance of Growing, I was attracted to an article that was sent to me on waging nonviolence, which is about protest with conscience, protest in a responsible manner, which felt appropriate for the times and is also a very key aspect of mature growth, to do so responsibly. This week 4 section was also about intuition. And so what happened this week as I lived the lecture, I feel a lot of protest recently nowadays. I have felt it for a long time. I tend to be a protest against things moving slowly, things not moving the way I want. I want more, don't want to be constrained. I have a lot of protests. I've always tried to channel this as responsibly as I could, because I don't believe that just jumping up and down and screaming is effective. It's a release, but it's not effective. And so it was interesting to me that while integrating this material on conscientious protest, I also started to have the intuition that I had picked the wrong lecture for the following month, for April. And so the question becomes, how do you honor a vague feeling that something is not right until you can delineate it and put it in writing and talk about it? So throughout the week, I just had this sense that I wasn't on target. I wasn't addressing the elephant in the room. I wasn't addressing a topic that felt timely, not only for myself, but for the people that I speak to on Patrick Matters throughout the week. It's been commented that I pick lectures that are great for them. This is terrific. This is on target. How did you find this? Well, it's partly listening. It's trying to feel into the consciousness of the group and to find out where all of us are interested in going, where we would like to expand or explore. So the feeling grew throughout the week. Finally, by Thursday, I realized I needed to make a change. The newsletter is published on Sunday, so now I have a very short time schedule. But I couldn't find the lecture that I wanted to substitute for it. My first impulse was that this was about authority. This was about reaction to what is a pushback, a protest. And so I looked at Patrick Lecture 46 on authority, but I'd done that before and I wasn't enthused. And if I'm not enthused, I don't teach well. So I need to be on this. I need to be on board on whatever we're doing. So I floundered around looking for other lectures, and lo and behold, I found that the lecture next to it fit my needs. Now, by this time, it's Friday, so I had to redo the study guide and redo all the newsletters, which can be done if you're a zealot and you have decided this is important. How does this fit in with week 5? Well, partly it was a review of intuition versus instinct. Instinct might say self-survival, take care of yourself. You've already put things in place. Let's not rock the boat. Let's not make last-minute changes. You know, clerically, you're not very good at catching all the small mistakes that creep in to work being done in a short period of time. So my instinct was let it roll, pick it up next month. But my intuition was it just wasn't what was needed. And so the thing about intuition is it doesn't shout, it doesn't scream, it just is. And my job as an individual, as an ego structure, is to figure out how to interpret what it's attempting to suggest to me, to give it legs, and to move it forward, and to figure out whether that may be not the time. In other words, intuition may be a long-term reality, and the short term may mean go ahead with what you have. both can be true. Or it may be that things will meld better, do better if you put in the time and effort to readjust some things before going forward. These are all decisions that I have to make. And the trick is to make the decision and then review and then review and then review. So in this particular case, where I had the intuitive hit to change the lecture at the last minute, I could have decided at any point to stop and go back or use whatever preparations I had already started for the following month. That's my decision, and it's an ongoing decision. What happens in human consciousness is once we have made a decision, we don't look back and review it. We tend to go forward with that. It's easier. There's less stress involved. And so we tend to do that. And it is harder to constantly look back and check the room and see how everybody's doing and to look at all the factors over and over again. It's much harder work. But I want to say that's what we're paid for, meaning that that's the cost of being a grown-up, of being a mature adult, is that you don't get simplistic and you don't simplify when that isn't appropriate. And you do what has to be done for what you want to uphold. And so there we're dealing more with an intuitive process than an instinctual one that would keep me looking good. So after I published, there were 4 or 5 clerical errors, which make me wince. Not the end of the world, but it felt right. So in the materials that I presented on waging nonviolence, what still bothered me was I don't know what to do with all that. I don't know what to do with my personal protest against how things are moving along at the moment. And so I pulled up another Pathfinder principle to help me that I'll share. And that is that there may be times when there is no answer. I personally hate that. The protest just, I start screaming inside at the phrase, not now, you have to wait. But it's true. And again, instinct will drive me to make myself feel comfortable and good about what I'm doing, when intuition does the harder job of saying, it's not time yet. Things aren't in place yet. There isn't a way forward yet. Things haven't gelled yet. So that's my personal experience with this section on intuition and instinct, on how and why I incorporated some ideas about conscientious protest, and a tiny preview of where we're headed next month. So thanks for listening. Hope you read the lecture, Patrick Lecture 144, The Process and Significance of Growing, which many people in the groups that I lead found to be stunningly deep and basically said, where's this lecture been? Well, not all lectures have shouty titles and aren't some of them aren't as well known as others. It is a joy for me to find a lecture I've never studied before and find that it opens up whole new worlds. So my hope is that occasionally this will happen with you with suggestions. Again, thanks for listening.